Hello and welcome back to another episode of O'Day and Night. I'm your host, Adam O'Day. Today, I've got a great podcast for y'all. It's 5 guys you cannot miss out on if you play fantasy football. It is that time of year where everybody loves to begin the discussion of fantasy football and start preparing for their draft so they can win their league or, in my case, not get last again. But here are 5 guys that I believe are league winners for y'all. The first guy is Lamar Jackson. He's a great rusher. I've seen, with the memes, but he's either way. He's still a great quarterback, and his rushing ability will gain you some extra, potentially much needed points, and he's got a couple of very high upside pass catchers in Odell Beckham Jr. and Mark Andrews, who OBJ is coming off an injury, but I believe both those guys can easily contribute in that Ravens offense and help Lamar Jackson be a top 5 fantasy QB. The second guy I have is Kadarius Toney, acquired by the Chiefs late last season, and didn't produce as much as I would have hoped, but he's still starting to mesh with Mahomes and still trying to find his place in that offense. And they've had pretty much an entire offseason to try and find his role in that offense, and he's got big playability, as we saw in that Super Bowl with the massive punt return that set up the Chiefs in great field position. He is going to be their big play guy more than likely. Him and Travis Kelce as well. So look for Kadarius Toney to break out and have a great year in his first full season with the Chiefs. My next guy is the man I believe to be the best overall running back in the league when he's healthy, and that is Christian McCaffrey. He has great vision. Obviously, he can catch the ball well, and he can run over guys if he needs to. My 2 concerns are, 1, can he stay healthy? And 2, how will they use him alongside Deebo Samuel in their first full season together? But as we started to see last season, both those guys were used pretty well, and hopefully they have a quarterback. So I believe McCaffrey will shine. I don't believe he's first overall pick worthy at this moment in time, but he'll have a great year fantasy-wise. My next guy is another great running back, in my opinion, the best receiving running back out there, Alvin Kamara. As I said before, he's probably the best pass-catching running back in the NFL, and with a new QB1, I believe that Alvin Kamara will be used a little bit more in the passing game. The Saints' new QB, Derek Carr, he had the second most interceptions in the league last year, and he didn't play the last 2 games, but before he got benched, he was tied with Dak Prescott for the most in the NFL. So, my guess is that the Saints will try to instill in Carr to, utilize his checkdowns and be a bit more run heavy this upcoming season, which that will be great for Kamara and his fantasy production. The last guy on this list, how do you not mention the fastest man alive, Tyreek Hill? I believe he was pacing for 2,000 yards before Tua Tagovailoa got hurt, and having a great year. Even with an inferior quarterback, Hill still had a really good year, but if he can have some more consistent QB play, he will have a great season. He'll have to compete with Jalen Waddle, but as we saw last season, that shouldn't really affect his fantasy production. So those are my 5 guys that you cannot miss out on in fantasy this year. Hope y'all enjoyed, and good luck this season.